Next step, use the marking gauge. We're going to use the marking gauge to mark the depth of our rebate and our trench. Rebate's for the end, for our corners, and a trench is for something that's not in a corner. So what we need to do is we need to set our marking gauge so the stock and the pin are half of the thickness. So we do that thing where we guess where it is. So let's just have a guess and see. So I will do this on the, oh yeah, this is the back. So I'm going to mark that there, and I turn the stock around and I mark it here, and we're looking for 1 dot, and I have got 1 dot, so that's pretty amazing first go. Well done. If you've got 2 dots, you need to move the stock either further away from the pin or closer to the pin, and try again until you get 1 dot. So I've got 1 dot, so that's good. Okay. From there, we need to mark our lines. I'm going to put it in the vise because it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so if we're going along the end, that's fine. We can just make sure your stock is up against the timber like this. Have your forefinger across the top of there where the screw is, your other 3 fingers on the stem, pushing with your thumb. The pin needs to be dragging, so it should be a 45 degree. If this is the pin, it should look like that, dragging backwards, pointing back towards you, and like that. I made it look easy, but that is quite tricky for most students to do. Okay, I'm going to set it up again this way. Now for here, what I can do here, what we don't want, are you boys looking for an A? I'll just show you what we don't want you to see. We don't want your marking gauge line to go past your line like this. If you do that, you're going to struggle to get an A because that's damaging the timber. So let me show you what we do want you to do. So for example here, there's 2 ways. I'll show you Mr. Webb's way and then Miss Kelly's way. So Mr. Webb's way, if we like to play golf, we put a dot at the end of where we're going. So when we drag it through, it just drops into the dot. And so there's no going past. Okay, Miss Kelly's way is we drag a little bit down about halfway, and then what we do is we drag it back. Okay, so either way works for you. Okay, and then I'm doing Mr. Webb's way for that, and that end is done, so I'll do this end. Up there, across there. Okay, dot and down. Okay, do the other piece of timber, and then what you need to do is line in with a pencil to make sure that we can easily see the marking gauge lines, because we can't normally see them. Okay, this end will have that, that. Okay, so they're all done now. The final part before we start cutting or chiseling is to mark the waist. So we very clearly mark the part that's going to get cut away. We're particularly focusing on the sides and the ends, because sometimes people won't know if it's that half or that half that we're cutting away. Okay, and we're up at the end, nice and dark and clear. Okay, so that's what it should look like for all your pieces. Write it down. Good luck.